Hey everybody, JD Simo. Just screwing around in the basement. It's been a long time. I'm so sorry. Been as busy as I think I've ever been. Finished up a tour, which was really fun. Thank you to everybody who came to the shows in Minneapolis at the Dakota Jazz Club and Fitzgerald's in Chicago, Kent Stage in Ohio. It's just amazing rooms to play and really, really fun nights of music. So thank you. But yeah, I got home Friday night and was in the last Saturday, Sunday, yesterday. Was in cutting a record here on this girl, Sierra Green from New Orleans. Fantastic record, and we had some of my favorite musicians on the planet playing, and it's a old school soul record. I'm very excited about it. I think anybody out there that likes what I like is gonna love it. And gonna finish up tomorrow. Put horns on it, and then got a little break for the holiday. But big thing this weekend is on Sunday, the first In Friends Show that I've ever put together. All that means is just an expanded band. Most of the time, I'm either working in a trio format or even in duo context sometimes with Adam Abershoff. And this time, I just want to start doing some shows with expanded band, depending upon friends of mine that are available and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We've got some fun tunes picked out to do. And also very good friends, the Weird Sisters, are going to be on the bill. And they're one of my absolute favorite bands out there right now. Adam actually played on their record. I'm a huge fan of theirs, and it's going to be a really inspiring, fun night. Thanks to Lightning 100, our local radio station here, for putting it on. And they're going to be broadcasting our set live, which will be great. And yeah, and you know, up to that, I mean, the last month and a half between the tour that we did out west, and then that went right into doing the stuff with Chris Isaac, and then that went right into making the Luther record. And then from that, I went right to going to Savannah to play on stuff for Dave Cobb, producing, and then got back and immediately left to go on this last tour. I mean, I haven't had any time for anything, and the schedule is after this weekend is just as full. I'm going back to Savannah next week to play on more stuff for Dave. And then from that, I'm going to join the Allman Family Revival for several shows, which will be fun with my buddy Luther will be on that with Cody, and obviously Devin Allman and Dwayne Betts, very good friends of mine, and John Ginty and Johnny Statula and Anders Osborne and Tal Wilkenfeld playing bass, and Jackie Green, another good friend of mine. It's going to be a really good time. And then coming back to play a Christmas show with Sierra Hull, Daniel Donato, and a bunch of other guests at the Brooklyn Bowl here right before Christmas. And then I guess me and Luther are going to go in. When I say go in, he's going to come here. We're going to put more stuff in. I also finished a solo record in there somewhere too. So anyway, I've been real busy, and it's been really gratifying working with incredible people. So anyway, one of the things I wanted to sort of touch on today that is like really present in my mind is whether a musician is busy or not, the importance of like taking the time to really actively listen to music. Now I know that might sound like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, of course you listen to music. You'd be surprised, like, especially, I was having a conversation with my buddy Brian Allen and Philip Towns, and we were all coming back to Nashville from Savannah from playing on sessions for Dave down there a few weeks ago, and we were having this great conversation in the town car taking us to the airport about and Derek Phillips was there too. We were talking about music. We were talking about records that we were really into, records that we had that it's like, oh, have you listened to such and such? And we had this really beautiful conversation about all different types of genres of music. We talked about hip hop. We talked about jazz. We talked about things that have been more commercial, but very artful, like St. Vincent and Brittany Howard, and it was just a really beautiful conversation, and it like ended with us being like, man, isn't music awesome? Like, just how much, even though like the more you do something, you can sort of become desensitized to it, and music certainly can become a job, and can feel like a job, which is an incredible privilege. But it's just to keep the muse, to keep the inspiration, to keep the joy of it prevalent, does take effort. And and on the flip side, how many times we each found ourselves, like, we were enjoying having a nerd out conversation about music and different music that we loved and things that we had just discovered and things that we like dove into that we hadn't like spent, like that we either hadn't noticed or whatever. Anyway, it was just really about actively pursuing, trying to find new music and new inspiration to listen to on a daily basis. And then it was on the flip side of like how often you run into people, other musicians who don't listen to music, and how odd that is. Or they only listen to the same music. They only listen to specific things, like sort of in their lane. It's sort of like if you ask them, like, what's the last 10 records you listened to, they'd be like, I don't, like, and they couldn't answer it, And the reason being is because it takes effort. It's like going to the gym musically. It's like it's like taking care of yourself. It's like eating right, which, I'm certainly not a great example of, but musically speaking, I feel very healthy in that regard. I'm a frequent daily listener of something I haven't heard before. That's something that is a high priority on my list of like daily activities, even when I'm really busy. And more so, sort of what, like, expanding upon this point, is almost the busier you are, the more important it is, because you need things to fill up your tank. You need things to access, because if you for 1 minute think that you're self-generating what's coming out of this thing, you're sorely mistaken. Like, we are allowed, like, it is our job to work really hard to have facility, to have muscle memory and facility to be able to channel something to come through us. We are not ever self-generating, I don't think. Or if we are, that's when it's not good. That's my view, at least for myself, you know. But no, like, you know, being busy and jumping from thing to thing, it's like I've had to like sit and like listen to, it's taken more effort and more time that it's like when I do have a moment, it's like, yeah, I want to listen to something to sort of cleanse my palate of what I've worked on today, or I want to set my day up, or I want a little reprieve or something. So anyway, I just think to sort of bring this all back home, and I don't mean to sound preachy, that's not that's not what I'm trying to convey. If anything, I'm just trying to convey like how much I truly love music, and how it just is amazing to me how on a daily basis there's so much that exists and will exist that we can never get to the end of it, that it's just infinite, the amount of things that you can be inspired by. It's amazing to me. So anyway, to close it up here, to sort of bring it back to a focal point, it's never been easier for us to be able to do this. Like with streaming services and YouTube and the ability to access anything you want at any moment's notice, and sample it just to see, you know, like, do I like this? Do I think this is something I want to maybe dive into and listen to a whole album of, or at least listen to 3 or 4 songs or something and go down a trail? It's never been easier. And in a way, it's the easy access to it almost makes us tempted to be lazier than we've ever been. Because certainly, you know, I'm 38. I was born in 85. And when I started playing guitar when I was 4, about to be 5, you know, it was records. You know, I learned from records and tapes and the radio. You know, as I got a little older, I maybe had some access to videos of some sort, but really, like, you know, how I learned is how my heroes learned. I learned from listening to records and picking stuff off records. It's really the basis of how I learned. And so in a lot of ways, I have more in common with older generations, the way that I learned how to play music. But where I'm going with this is, you know, it was that much harder to access information not that long ago. You know, if I wanted to check something out that was maybe somewhat esoteric, it was way harder. And the fact that you might go to a record store, or in my case, I went to the library a lot, and they might only have certain albums by said people, and so you kind of had to take a chance or talk to the people at the record store, which is a whole nother conversation we can have at a later point, because I'm a huge record nerd, and that's a whole culture that I love. Now what I'm saying is, like, if you get turned on to a musician, a producer, a recording studio, an engineer, an arranger, a writer, like, the fact that you can, like, sort of just go through one's entire, it's just amazing. It's amazing. So anyway, I have no problem personally with streaming services. I understand the plight. I totally get it. You know, I work really hard to support my family and try and live a decent life, and I totally get that. But at the same time, it's so convenient. I wish it was a better system, but I use it all the time, you know. But at the same time, I have a huge vinyl collection, and when I listen to music at home, that's how I'm listening to it. So I do purchase, you know, so I feel like there should be a balance, you know what I mean? So anyway, rant over, I think. I hope everybody's good. I hope if you have the ability to join us on Sunday here in Nashville at 3rd and Lindsley, get your tickets. I think it's going to be a really fun show. Like I said, the bill is great, and the band that I've got together is phenomenal. And we've got some fun tunes that there's a handful that I either have rarely ever done or have never done, and it's gonna be a lot of fun. So anyway, just sitting here with my Danicaster. I have been reconnecting with my 335 a bunch. I used it on the entire record I just cut on Sierra, and I played it last night with my buddies. But I love this guitar. It's embarrassment of riches. I'm so grateful, and I really mean that. The fact that I have such nice stuff to use. So anyway, lots of love. I'll check in with you a little bit more frequently as I can. I'll probably try and catch up a time or two when I'm down in Savannah working with Dave. Maybe I'll get Dave on here, or at least Greg, the amazing engineer that he's engineering all the stuff for Dave right now, and he's worked on some of my favorite records of the last decade. That's a good idea. I'll get him on here. And some of my compadres, Brian Allen, Chris Powell, Philip Towns. It'll be fun. So anyway, much love and peace, and keep it greasy.